Welcome to the exciting world of the movies.
Hello, welcome back to the Movie Graveyard. We have a very special episode today. I'm very pleased to, as always, welcome back my good friend Zach. Zach, how you doing, man?
I am doing good, my fellow grave digger, baby. It's a cold night here on the fucking tonight. We're out here digging these fucking graves. It's all cold and shit. I got a jacket. I got 2 gloves. You want to borrow a pair, baby? Because my hands are getting a little sweaty.
Yeah, I'll borrow them sweaty gloves because it is cold. There's about 4 feet of snow outside in the parking lot. There's like dirty puddles that got fast food cups laying in them.
Exactly.
But yeah, like we didn't have to dig too far down into the dirt this week though, because we got one of the newest, if not maybe the newest movie that's ever been featured on the Graveyard. This film is from the year of our Lord 2012. That was back when the world was supposed to end, if you remember, Zach.
Exactly. See, what if the whole time the Mayans, they were just predicting this great film would come out?
Exactly. And the reason we're covering a film that's so relatively new, this film will have its anniversary of release, 9 years this coming August. So we still have a few months, but not even 10 years old. And we just got to talk about it because I'm just going to go ahead and say it's like this is definitely the most important film released during our lifetime.
It probably is, exactly. It tells you how to troll people the Chad way.
Exactly. It foretold so much. It influenced so much. So we're going to go ahead and get rolling with the film Compliance right here. I know a lot of people haven't probably seen this movie because it was a very micro-budget film, but it hit the world big, hard, ripples through the entertainment industry and just through society in general. We have it paused at pretty much the 1 second mark. Is with the Magnolia Pictures logo. A very homemade looking logo, I would say. Blue, trying to be red, kind of almost pink. Magnolia Pictures. But it's the 1 second mark on the Blu-ray, probably on the DVD as well. I actually have the DVD as well, but we're watching the Blu-ray tonight. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, go. And when I say go, hit play on your remotes or PS3 controllers. Everybody. 1, 2, 3, go.
I love that you bring up the PlayStation 3 controller. Very Chad.
Yeah. Well,
Chad.
Old dog pictures. It says music playing on the subtitles, and boy, is there some music playing in this film, Zach.
Exactly. So we should basically bring up the plot of this movie in case people don't know. Inspired by true events. See, what's funny is that's huge on the screen right now, and I did not notice that the first time because I'll go ahead and, the plot of the movie is basically some people working at a fast food restaurant. They get a call from a guy basically claiming to be a police officer and that somebody in the, working there has stolen money from a customer, bring her to the back, and then just craziness ensues. And, I remember watching this. I'll go ahead and say it. This is watching this for the commentary was my second time watching the movie. And I liked it a lot more than the first time because the first time, I swear, I didn't notice like that opening thing saying that, or I just completely forgot about it right after because I proceeded to just fucking. Even though I like the movie, it's not a fun watch because it is really frustrating how dumb these people are. And like I like at the first, like when I saw it, I must have been like, there's no, at the end of it, they kind of let you in like, yeah, this is a true story again. And then I remember at the time, be like, there's no fucking way that people are this dumb. But I assure you, this is America, damn it. People are this dumb. Very Chad.
I love these little small films too. Like it's always important to me how they open. And I love that it opens with the manager of the. We should say in real life, this is based on an incident that happened at a McDonald's. They say they kind of corroborate all the different instances, and I'll bring us some historical facts here soon. Here we see a guy at a payphone. That's very important to the plot right here. But yeah, it's basically based on a McDonald's, but they can't use McDonald's in the movie or whatever, so it's got to be the Chick Witch, a fake restaurant. And there was a big sent ripples through the restaurant that somebody left the freezer door open last night, and they had to order new supplies of a bunch of food items, including the bacon. And the delivery driver, that was a great scene. He was really mad at the manager, wasn't he?
Exactly. They make you feel bad for the manager because she's very much like she's one of these characters that she's constantly craving like affirmative like she just wants to blend in and be friendly with all these people. She's constantly looking for like a thumbs up from everybody. So right away you believe that she could fall for this because the guy on the phone kind of gives her these little like pats on the back, like, oh, you could totally be in police work. You're really good at this. Very Chad.
Yeah, and I gotta say, like I sought this film out because I heard about the real life case that this is based on. I saw it on it was like an ABC News special thing. It was like a 60 Minutes type show. I forget the name of the show, but whatever the show is that the John Quinones guy used to interview people, and he actually interviewed interviewed both the girl and the manager lady separately, obviously. But I think going into this movie, if you know it's true, and also like if you really know beat for beat what really happened, because like I will say, and I'll read a couple of the reviews from IMDb. There's a lot of this is a love or hate movie out there, Zach, and a lot of it, whether you love it or hate it, depends on if you know the real life case or not. And almost every negative review on the IMDb points out how they're just so disgusted by how stupid the characters are in the film, and it's so unrealistic. And what's amazing is when you know the real life case is like, this isn't inspired by true events, even though it said that all giant. It's like literally directly based on true events. Like I would say like literally 90% of this movie is beat for beat, exact recreation. And I think also too, like the director, when you see him in interviews, he's like, yeah, it's based on this, but it's also, because there's a lot of different times that this happened other places. But no, it's like very modeled after this like one specific incident.
Yeah, and it wasn't just like he did it one time. He was able to like convince like fucking multiple people to fall for this, and actually go through with it.
Like to the point that this one's based on a McDonald's case, even though he did it to lots of different grocery stores and different fast food places. But like the fact that McDonald's was at the time, he did it so much they were sending out memos like to warn people of hoaxes, and pretty much like the store where this happened, like just like anything, people just ignore shit. They don't take it seriously.
Mm-hmm.
But
like if you're paying attention, you'll notice like he calls them. He says like he's very vague. He doesn't bring up anybody's names. Like, oh yeah, there's a blonde girl that works for you, and she does all the naming of names.
Yeah. So
like I can see people like not paying attention and falling for that. But then like once it gets to like some of the fucking more fucked up instances, like once it becomes sexual and stuff like that, it's just like fucking come on, how are you falling for this, babe?
I know. And I gotta say too, like pretty much I would say the fictional part of this is like probably like this little part that we're watching right here. Like this is just kind of obviously in the first 10 minutes the movie's just setting up the characters, who they are. They work at this restaurant, so like this little chit chat of these girls, talking about the manager's gotten engaged, which actually that was true, but like she's trying to fit in with like obviously this is kind of just like scripted, whatever, not really pertaining to the real case, but. Pretty much once they pull the girl back into the room, it all becomes like 100% real. Like it's just fucking insane. And like to the point where when I was reading the IMDb reviews, there was actually somebody that said like I went back and reviewed this film on this date and I gave it a 1 out of 10 because I thought it was ridiculous. But then I did the research and now I'm coming back to leave it a very good review because
that's what I did. Yeah, I gave it like a 2 or something like that. I was just like, there's no fucking way.
So basically, to give a little more clarifying background on this is I'm just going to read directly from the Wikipedia page just because like I don't even think we can fully. Oh, we do have to talk about the I forget his name here, but the maintenance guy who's clocking out. This guy's like the biggest Chad of the movie, isn't he?
He is. He's the one that finally fucking comes in.
That sounds like
and is like he has the wherewithal to be like, hey, this doesn't pass the sniff test. That's the problem. Is like fucking it's all shit that's just like the red flags are just blatant, but they were just so deep into it. They had tunnel vision and shit like that, and then they needed somebody from outside to walk in and be like, hey, this just seems wrong, babe.
Exactly. So here's some of the this thing was officially called the strip search phone call scam. So here it is.
Yeah, that is a terrible fucking title for the movie.
Yeah, that's why they had to call it Compliance.
Exactly.
So strip search phone call scam was a series of incidents, mostly occurring in rural areas of the United States, that extended over a period of about 12 years, starting in 1992. Mm-hmm. Incidents involved a man calling a restaurant or grocery store, claiming to be a police officer, and then convincing managers to conduct strip searches of female employees, or in one case, actually a customer.
Fuck me.
And to perform other bizarre acts on the behalf of the police. Over 70 such occurrences were reported in 30 U.S. states until an incident in 2004 in Mount Washington, Kentucky, which led to the arrest of, I'm not going to say this guy's name because he was arrested for it and they had a trial, but he was not convicted. So
he wasn't. Yeah, he got away.
This person was acquitted of all charges in the Mount Washington case. He was suspected of, but never charged with having made other similar calls. Police reported that the scam calls ended after his arrest. So here's some of the highlights before the Mount Washington thing, which, like, the movie right now is jumping around to the other characters. Like, you think this guy Van, who's like engaged to the manager of the restaurant, you think he's going to be like a Chad, but he's not too Chad later on.
Exactly.
He's like,
we'll talk about him whenever his thing comes up. I'm wondering if like he knew, but he was just like. Yeah. There's probably a point whenever he knows like, oh, this can't be real, but then like he just takes advantage of it because it's like, oh, it's a pretty young girl.
Yeah.
Fucking, it's possible, yeah.
And the movie like kind of skips over that and doesn't, but that was the one thing that like of the real life case, because we know exactly like what the guy instructed over the phone and shit, but like we don't really know that guy in real life, like if he like, you know, was enjoying it or not, or why he did it. But So most of the calls were made to fast food restaurants, but a few were made to grocery stores. And just breaks down, he would always call and say he was a member of the police and say some crimes are going on. So one of the most insane ones was on November 30th, 2000, a female McDonald's manager in Leachfield, Kentucky, undressed herself in the presence of a customer. The caller had convinced her that the customer was a suspected sex offender, and that the manager serving as bait would enable undercover police officers to arrest him.
That's the thing, like, you don't even have to know much about, like, police procedure to know, like, they wouldn't put you in harm's way. Like, what the fuck? Holy shit. She just answered the phone. This is where we hear his voice for the first time. This fucking chud, this fucking epic stud that just trolls the fuck out of this lady.
He is the ultimate Troy, so I can't even talk. But, like, I was such a fan of this movie when I first saw it. It's like one of the I guess it's not available anymore, but one of the very first Hillbilly DVD Reviews podcasts, I told Phil Dees about this movie, and, like, we talked about it for about 20 minutes. I don't think he's still seen it, but it's, like, ever since, and I've been dying to cover this movie more in depth.
Exactly. It's frustrating, babe.
I know, because it's a hard sell of a movie to get people to watch. What you can say?
Mm-hmm. I remember as soon as I saw it on Netflix, and I read the plot, and I was like, "Sounds genius." Yeah. See, I remember thinking like this could be really fun, like as an exploitation flick. I wonder if Bat 32 saw this. I bet it's right up his alley. But like the way it's portrayed, it's like there's nothing fun about it. With exploitation, it's like it's like. Fucking the actors and all that. Even though this is acting, the fact that it's like based on a true story, and it's like the main girl who's like the victim of everything. Like they set her up as like she's probably in high school or something. She's probably underage. So yeah, it's like it's not all fun and games with this one.
No, not at all. And like the other instances of like what happened in real life, like I mean, you can't help but like laugh. But then like when you see like what really happens, and I want to say to some degree this is one of the instances where like it went the furthest, but there were the other ones where it did go like insanely far too. And I guess it just all goes back to like I think it's called like the Milgram experiment and other things like the Stanford prison experiment. Like you don't even need like real actual present authority. You just need to like put the thought in people's heads that like there's an authority figure somewhere commanding them to do something, and like they'll do it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember hearing about that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And because you're saying like this would be a fun premise for the exploitation. Before I like knew about this case and knew seen this movie, Probably like around the time they were making this movie, I actually wrote a pretty long outline for a movie back when I was writing scripts, and had a pretty long outline for a very similar kind of concept, but it was like a little more in the vein of Saw, and there actually was a physical guy outside, like basically threatening, like it was like one guy running around outside threatening the people inside with like a bomb and stuff outside of a restaurant that had like closed down for the night. And like it was kind of like a thing where like he was kind of forcing people to do grotesque things, and then also getting them to reveal personal things and past whatever. Yeah. So like and then I seen this movie and I'm like, holy shit, this is like 10 times like the real life case of this really happened. I'm like, I thought I had just a good premise for a horror movie, but like the fact that this really happened, and it's in a way like, even though obviously nobody dies or anything in this movie, like in a way it's 10 times scarier than anything I could have fucking imagined.
Exactly. Very fucking like, you gotta ask, like, who would like do this? Because like, what's he getting out of this? He can't even see it happening. Like, he's not getting some weird voyeur thing. It's just like, oh, that'd be so funny to fuck up people's like lives. Like, what the fuck? Like, he basically ruins this chick's life because like she was talking about like she was hoping to get like proposed to, and like, fucking like it ends with her like, fucking I guess technically if that guy had that in them, maybe he saved her life, really. Right. But like, exactly.
Yeah, like,
did it really happen like this, or is it just for the movie?
It's really just like for the movie. And what's so insane is like, I mean, we're skipping ahead, but like they reviewed the tapes that night of The Office. And it's just like this movie doesn't reveal until very late that there was cameras in this office. But it's like how did he think he was going to get away with that? You know what I mean? That guy.
I guess he did get away with it though. Maybe that's where the cards come in. Maybe like if you use those cards, there's just no way to really trace it. Maybe that's how he got away with it.
Well, kind of what they did in the real life case, and like they kind of gloss over it at the end here. But what the guy would do is he would buy like these phone cards. And I don't know if he did it like all the time, but the one that this is based on, like in the movie, they make it seem like he's at home on a burner cell phone, and that's why they can't figure out who it was. But in real life, he was actually standing, I believe it was in a grocery store. I don't know where the phone was located, because like when I was a kid, the grocery stores always had a payphone down by like the bathrooms, like almost like by where like where the employees would come out and stuff. Maybe it was like in a more secluded section of the store or something. But he actually did this. He was on phone with this McDonald's for 3.5 hours commanding this shit, and just standing and he actually did this in at least this one instance we know about in complete public. And basically the way they found him was, the phone company, they traced the records, the numbers. Okay, it came from a payphone, and then they were able to find out it came from those calling cards. And they basically like just scoured everywhere that those calling cards were sold and looked at the surveillance tapes. So it's pretty amazing what police work can do. And I know a lot of people say like, oh no, you should really just do a lot of crimes and nobody will ever catch you. And we're all anonymous on the internet, do this, do that. But like, fuckers will catch you if they want to put enough time into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So like, right here it starts out like fucking, I want to say innocent enough, but it's still not innocent enough, because it's like, oh, he's just having her check her purse. Like, oh, she might have stole the money, and check her purse. She probably put the money back in there. And like at some point, it's like he introduces himself by saying like, hey, I'm Detective Scott or whatever, and I've got this lady with me who's telling me like she was had her money stolen, and like they just kind of forget like, wait, you still got the lady there? Why can't I just talk to her? Like they never like. They never bring it up. Like, are you sure it was her? Like, it wasn't one. Like, maybe you saw her, but like a different cashier was the one that did it. Like, is it like they never think to do that? And then at some point, it's like you're still just standing there with her. And like later on in the movie, it's like, how long is she standing there with you? Like, she's like, why am I not hearing anything? Like he says like, oh yeah. I'm on my way, but I'm kind of busy. Like he keeps making excuses for why he's not there yet. Like, oh yeah, I'm undercover. I'm doing this other part of the same investigation. I'm at her house right now. It's like, wait, you're around other cops, but like you're the only one I can hear. There's just like so many red flags that they just don't notice. Very un-Chad, very un-Stacy of the
very
of her. Exactly.
Well, also too is like he kind of like tells like a story, and then when that story kind of runs out of rope, he kind of like elaborates and adds more details and changes the story. But it's like, you know, like the way they explain it in the movie, and then like looking at like an interview with the real life lady is like, basically the guy just always had a quick answer for anything. He was good, I guess, for coming up with shit on the spot. I mean, to be fair, he'd been doing this at this point for 12 years, or somebody had been doing it, and you know, it probably was him the whole time, in all honesty. But yeah, he just was good at coming up with shit on the spot. So like, she just was believing it just because, you know. And I think it's like one of those things too, and they kind of play with it, like with in this film, like they kind of show the other workers like, oh, I don't want to get involved, the police or whatever. Everybody's just so afraid with getting in trouble with the law and all that. But yeah, like I mean, this is like nowhere near like a similar situation to like what's in this movie or anything. But it kind of reminded me of like the part where he was talking about like, oh, she took the money out of the purse and shit, and like it just didn't add up. Was when I worked at a video store in my early 20s, there was some person, and I'm sure it wasn't like a scam like this, but it just goes to show how people are like willing to like go over and over and over, bored with shit. Was like there was like a customer, I guess, that called in and was like, oh, I was there last night and I think I left my card or whatever. So like I remember like coming in one day in the afternoon, the manager being like, can you look around for a credit card? So we look, oh yeah, no credit card on the desk. Yeah, they thought they left. Okay, didn't think anything of it, right? So then like the somehow the district manager got involved. Like this customer kept claiming, and then like eventually it got to the point where there was like, we think we left like our card and we think one of you took it. And I was just like, this sounds fucking weird. And I remember talking on the phone because like at the time I was like a kid in my early 20s. Like I think I just had a debit card. I didn't even really have a credit card. And I was like, well, even I know that the second, like literally the second you lose a credit card, you call and cancel it, right? So I was like, I told my district manager, is like, you know, I don't know what to do, you know, like whatever, like they keep telling us to look for this credit card. I mean, it wasn't here 2 days ago. It's not going to be here now. Like, you know, like everybody knows that you just cancel a credit card. And the district manager jumped all over my ass being like, well, yeah, well, you don't know what it's like. And this customer's very upset and worried. I was like, but they don't have to be worried if they cancel their card and report it missing. And so like this shit went on. And then like maybe a couple of days after that, a cop comes in. He's like, I need to look at your surveillance shit and blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, oh, I don't know, like whatever. And like I didn't even really know how to work the surveillance shit. So he like fucked around their surveillance stuff for like a couple days. And then like the next day I came in and talked to like my just immediate store manager. I was like, what's going on with this? This has been going on for like almost a week. And I'm just like all about a supposedly lost credit card, which nobody can verify was ever here in the first place. And eventually it was just the store manager. He was just like, he's like, yeah, he's like, I'm done dealing with it. He's like, if the cops want to come back and look at the thing, he's like, they're going to need a warrant. Like we're basically being accused of stealing for no reason. You know what I mean? And it's just like, whether it's good intention or like in this movie, there's a scam. Like you can't just like let people keep running and running with a fucking story that makes no sense. You know what I mean? Like somebody's got to put your foot down eventually.
Exactly. Very, very Chad.
Very Chad.
Very Chad of your manager.
He was
put his foot down. Exactly.
He was. He protected us and just said, listen.
I'm pretty sure it was probably this fucking Detective Scott doing that shit too. He's like, this fucking Scott bitch ain't gonna take me for a ride.
Yeah, it probably was. But
Exactly.
But the lady that plays the manager in this, Ann Dowd, she's really good, and like she really kind of like, if you watch interviews with the real lady, like she kind of like, I wouldn't say like mimics her like whatever, but she mimics like her fucking just like willingness to go around and like, and this lady basically like tried to like say, oh, I wasn't my fault. She probably tried to like rewrite the facts of everything when it's like there's obvious video of like, you know, the girl was crying and asking for help and shit. And it's like that thing too is like, you know how a lot of people can't ever admit that they made a mistake or they did something terrible. It's like, I almost feel like this thing like, yeah, it's like, why are these people so stupid? And like the IMDb reviews, there's so many people just talking about the education system, how dumb people are. But it's like, people just have like dumbass pride sometimes. And it's like a snowball effect that like, they're not going to admit, like no matter how crazy it gets, they're not going to admit that they made a mistake in the first place. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the fucking most fucked up scene in this movie is well, I guess I can bring it up while it comes up, but like yeah, whenever like she's like completely fucking at the lowest point, like in the victimization department, she comes back in and she's like, "Help me," and she's like, "Don't you talk to me? You're in big trouble, little lady." And it's
Exactly.
like, how are you this blind? Holy shit! Very Chad.
It's like a lot of times, like, unless like police have like absolute proof somehow, like it has because like cops can just run around and arrest as many people as they want in a day. The problem is then like a DA has to make charges stick, so it's like, yeah, like for somebody to be doing this much accusing and never sending a police officer into the restaurant and keep making these excuses that they're so busy or whatever.
Yeah, any evidence she found wouldn't even be like allowed in court because the cop didn't find it. Like they could have, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Isn't that how it usually works too? Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, there's the whole thing. So another case that happened in real life, it says February 2003, a call was made to McDonald's in Hinesville, Georgia. The female manager, who believed she was speaking to a police officer who claimed to be with the director of operations for the restaurant's upper management, took a female employee into the women's bathroom and strip searched her. She also brought in a male employee who conducted a body cavity search of the woman to look for uncover hidden drugs, and that also resulted in a big lawsuit. So that was like literally like some girl in a McDonald's got not strip searched, even body cavity search a year before this incident that this film is based on, and it's like still, you know what I mean?
Exactly. Like if you think about it logically, it's like she didn't know the cops were going to call. Why would she have hid it in her body? Like, why would you want to just hide your drug? Like, oh fuck it, I'm taking drugs with me to work. Got to hide them in the snatch, baby, because they'll never look there.
Exactly. Similar
They'll
thing.
never look at my pocket either. But like, that's too easy.
Yeah, especially when you're going to be on your feet for like a 6-hour, 8-hour fast food shift. You're really going to be snatching stuff in body orifices to do whatever.
Got to keep those calf muscles tight so it don't fall out while she's standing there and work.
Mm-hmm. And then March 2004, which I think was just a couple months before the real life incident this film's based on happened, says a female customer at a Taco Bell in Fountain Hills, Arizona, was strip searched by the manager, who received a call from a man claiming to be a police officer. So that was the one where the customer got strip searched. Unbelievable.
Insane.
Yeah.
Very, very Chad of this guy. Fucking rock hard, concrete fucking jawline, I bet.
Yeah, that was like a month before this happened. The Mount Washington scam, he called claiming to be Officer Scott, which in the film he calls himself Officer Daniels. So.
Oh.
They should have just called him Officer Scott, though, because what is that guy going to complain, hey, you're using my fake name for a movie and I'm not getting paid, or what?
Exactly. There was actually an Law and Order SVU episode where Robin Williams played a character like based on this, too. He was the guy calling.
Yeah. And I was going to say, too, the thing that was, I really want to see that episode really bad just to see what it was like. But, around the same time, Robin Williams also did another similar thing where he was a journalist getting fake phone calls that was based on J.T. Leroy. You ever hear about that story?
I haven't.
So there was a supposed street hustler, young boy who had been molested and so many times, and he got an AIDS, and he wrote a book about it, and people was all like, "Oh, we love this guy, and we want to find out and help him out and all this stuff." Well, it turned out there never really was a little boy prostitute who got AIDS. It was a woman, right, who just made this shit up, and she would call she wrote a book and it got published, and whenever they would sign contracts or do whatever, she would be on the phone pretending to be this little boy, and then this story got publicity. As always, our girl Asia Argento got involved.
Oh.
So eventually everybody, all these celebrities wanted to meet JT Leroy so bad that eventually this woman who had pretended to be JT Leroy, she had to make a JT Leroy, so she got her sister-in-law, who was a kind of a younger, thinner girl, to dress up and pretend to be a boy. And then they kind of changed the story of oh, he's a trans person now, so that's why he kind of looks like a girl now. Mm-hmm. And there's actually a documentary that came out a couple years ago that shows JT, the fake JT Leroy, going around meeting all these people. Ozzy Argento became good friends with her. Just all this shit. So anyway, Robin Williams made a movie called, I want to say it was called The Night Listener or The Night Caller, and he plays a guy. It's kind of loosely based. He plays a guy who is like doing, I believe, a radio show, or maybe he's just a psychologist or something, and he gets the phone call. So I thought it was interesting. He did basically the compliance version of Law and Order, and then he did this other movie where he was like on the other end of the victimization of the phone calls. You know what I mean?
Exactly. We're now at the scene where she brought in another lady to help out with the strip search, and then he's basically like, "Oh yeah, she's still wearing a bra. Well, they can hide shit in the padded bra and in the panties. You gotta have her take that off." See, it's so weird. Like, he's getting nothing out of this.
You're right, exactly. He can't see anything. And the thing is, because it does really come across as a voyeuristic thing. I mean, both the cops in real life and also, you know, in the movie, the cops were convinced that the guy was like across the street or he was somewhere close by and he could be watching. Like, this guy, you know, he supposedly did this over 70 times over the course of 12 years. He never saw anything that he did. He just, like, I don't know what you want to call it. Like, I would say you would think it would be like a sexual gratification. But what's weird is like in this case, they know he did this whole 3.5 hour phone call in a public at a payphone in a grocery store. So I mean, it's not even like he was like sitting around whacking off. So you can't even like, it was more like, what do you call it, like mind games for this guy.
Yeah. It's like, at some point, like, if this is me, it's like, fucking, at this point, I'm just like, dude, I got a job. Like, I'm not going to sit here and do your job. Like, I'll keep her back here, and when you show up, well, I'll fucking, you know, like, I'll just stand here until you get here. How about that? Like, at some point, it's like, hey, man, I ain't going to do your job for you. Just fucking show up already.
Exactly. And who in their right mind would be like I could see like possibly people believe in like, okay, pat them down, check their pockets, but once it's like take your actual clothes off, that's like, yeah, is it like it's weird that nobody thought, because you know like I grew up you know, like I worked at, like, my first job actually was McDonald's in summer of 1994. I was a teenager in high school, and even back then, like, I was aware of the world of like lawsuits, and if something happens to you like at work, like really egregious, you can sue and all. Like, so it's weird to me that like this took place in, what was it, April of 2004, I think it was, the article said. 2004, like, these people aren't like, hey, like, you know, I have rights, or like, if you rip my clothes off me, like, I'll fucking sue you, you know what I mean? Which is what ended up happening later. But like, yeah, it's just weird. But it's like I would never be that, like, you know, because like even as a kid in high school, I know it's real easy, and that's kind of like the interesting thing about this, and why I wanted to talk about this movie, Zach, is like, it's really easy for people to say like, oh, I wouldn't do that, those people are so stupid, I would never do this. But like, like, as a teenager in high school, I've been threatened over by the phone, and I actually, because we used to make prank phone calls all the time, very, you know, inconspicuous, whatever, just goofy things. And there was somebody who like basically started 69 us, like the guy, and he pretended to be a cop, and like I knew it was him, so I wasn't worried. So like he pretended to be a cop, and you know, like, I just called him pretending to be a guy saying I wanted to come work for him and do a magic act. But he actually, which that technically is not really a crime because I didn't do anything wrong. But he called back and threatened and pretended to be a police officer. That actually is a crime. If you ever call anybody and say you're a cop, that's actually a crime. Exactly. But and it was just like ridiculous, you know what I mean? But even then, I was just like, whatever, fucker. Like, I even said to him on the phone, I was like, I don't believe you. I just talked to you, whatever. It's like, I don't give a shit, whatever. Hung up the phone. So it's like, I guess that's a little different circumstance because I knew the person I was talking to. But it's like, if somebody just tells you they're a cop on the phone and that's all you need, and you start asking for people's clothes off, like, I think there is like, I don't know what you call it, like, subconscious brain, like a submissive, like, I guess alpha and beta type thing, right? Like, you just take orders without question.
Exactly. And I remember like watching this, like it poses the question: is there like a fine line where you're so dumb that it becomes almost criminal? That like that you're letting somebody be sexually assaulted in front of you, and you never like. Oh yeah, it's very weird to think about. Fucking. Yeah, she walk. I guess like technically she doesn't see the actual sexual assault happen, but I mean all of this could be considered sexual assault, like making her
Right.
like strip down and everything. Yeah. So yeah, who knows?
And another thing too is, like the movie, because obviously lawsuits resulted from this. Later on, it's just wrapped up with like literally in the last 2 minutes of the movie, they kind of allude to that the girl's going to sue, which she did in real life. But it's like, I've seen like when I was doing research for this on YouTube, there's a lot of people saying like, oh, because she ended up suing McDonald's directly. Was McDonald's really at fault for this? They didn't do this. I'm just like, I think any situation where a person of authority over your job is demanding to do illegal shit, like I think that's where it crosses the line. Like it's one thing if it's like somebody who's on equal footing of you, like just your coworker says, hey, I think you should do this, or hey, but it's like once like somebody who's an authority over you starts saying, oh, do this, do that, like I think that's really like the slippery slope, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like it's really weird. Yeah, like we see all the time in movies, like people show up and like introduce themselves to the cop. It's like I want to see a badge number, but like in this movie, it's just like they believe them right away. It's like yeah, we should probably normalize that, like fucking being skeptical. Like don't just trust just because they said it. Like yeah, show me a badge number. That doesn't hurt anything. Just fucking takes like 2 seconds. And then, but then, like, how many people would even recognize a fake badge if they saw one too?
Right.
Yeah.
Like to me, unless I seen a guy come up like in an actual police car, I would be very skeptical. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But so this is like true as well. Like they took her clothes, they put it in a garbage bag in real life, and this is kind of some, I don't know, maybe it's a garbage bag, clear bag. And the detective was like, we need to check those clothes because you can have hidden pockets in your clothes, and unless you're trained to look for them, you'll never find them. So go put her clothes in the front seat, which that's like the ingenious part of his plan is he's basically making sure that girl can never get her clothes back on.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I'll have he keeps saying we have a surveillance unit.
Yeah.
We have a surveillance unit that will come and check the clothes and we'll just leave them there. Like, because this went on for 3.5 hours. Wouldn't she have been like, hey, did you check the clothes yet? Can I go give them and give it back to her? Because, like, who wants, like a naked employee, you know what I mean? Like, just sitting around for hours and hours,
Yeah, and there's that, like, later on, they don't tell him that they gave her a little smock to put over her, so she's not just sitting there naked the whole time. Mm-hmm. And later on, when he finds out, oh, she's wearing a smock, make her take that off.
Right.
And, like, at that point, it's like, well, we already strip searched her, like, You want her to just sit there and like you take the smock away? Why? Just to shame her? Like fucking, what's wrong with her wearing the smock now? Like at some point, yeah, it's like fucking. I don't think you're a cop, bro. What's going on here?
Exactly.
It's funny that this kid that shows up and kind of goes in, he's like smarter than the adults. That he like realizes something's weird and he doesn't fucking like go with it. Yeah.
Well, this is another because they present it in the movie kind of like this kid is like Kevin or whatever his name is, like he's kind of like her same age, he's her friend, because in real life the girl was like I think just turned 18, and this guy that came in, I saw the real life camera footage of him. In real life he was actually a 27-year-old, so he was smart enough to be like, no, I'm not doing this, but at the same time he didn't call the cops or do anything or like, you know what I mean? So it's like even though he knew it was wrong and he refused to participate in it, at the same time, like, he still was, I guess, scared enough of the authority. So it's like, it's kind of interesting that only a certain amount of people in this restaurant know what's going on.
Yeah.
And like, the kind of disobedient ones, like, they're disobedient, like, they won't really take place and do whatever. But at the same time, like, they're also like they're not willing to stop it, really. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And like you said, this coincides with like somebody fucked up the night before and left the freezer open or turned off or something. So like everybody outside, until they walk in and find out, they think that's what this is all about. Like she's in trouble for doing the freezer shit and all that.
Yeah, and I think that another thing that kind of like creeped me out when I first seen this movie was the fact that all this is going on, which, obviously just to make it easier to shoot a movie, this is taking place in an office stock room, so it's like, kind of I'd say fairly large room that they're in real life. And in real life, if you look at the footage, it's a very, like, I wouldn't even really call it an office. It's just like a place with like a desk, and there was like one chair in there, and like not room for anything. So usually the girl was just standing up this whole time, or sitting like on a desk, or occasionally when she was in there by herself in a chair. But it was like, it was a really small area in real life. So like in real life, it's like even more like, cause like in this one where they walk in and they see her naked, they're like, the guy's like kind of standing back like, hey, what's going on? But in real life, like if you, like when you see when the people walked in there, like they were almost face to face with this naked girl, you know what I mean? So it's like, and then like the thing that's like insidious is like the people outside, like they keep showing them it's Friday night, it's busy, all this shit. Like all these people are just eating these fucking chicken sandwiches, and like nobody knows what's going on back there, you know what I mean?
Exactly. Somebody's being victimized right under their nose, and they never know.
And that kind of makes you wonder, like, you ever think about that, Zach? Like say, like, you know, you're at like a shopping mall or something, or just like whatever. Like, even if you don't see anything out of the ordinary happening, like, you never know, like, either 5 minutes before you got there or 5 minutes later, like, something really terrible might happen to somebody, and you just never fucking know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The world is a fucking crazy place, yeah.
Yeah, it is, because, like, I never really, like, you know, you know crime happens, but, like, in your mind, kind of, you always think crime happens, like, in the middle of the night or something like that. And, like, yeah, like, working at retail places, like, you know, hearing, like, oh, something just happened to somebody in the parking lot or what. It's like, what? It's, like, the middle of the day. It's, like, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It's just, like, fucking criminals will do shit wherever. Like, you know, you have no control over it.
Mm-hmm. Here's where her coworker, who's around the same age, comes in, and like he's fucking confused right out of the gate. Yeah. See, but this is kind of like one of those things too. Like, fucking, it probably would be like somebody younger enough, even though they've got less experience. It's like there's always that weird phenomenon where like the boomers seem to fall for shit like this, like the Nigerian scams and all that shit on the phone. That's very Chad. So, like, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, because you brought up the Nigerian thing, like, do you have any clue who Dean Cameron is? The actor guy that was in Summer School and, like, Rockula and a bunch of other movies. Anyway, he's like an actor. He's kind of like a dude type of, hey, dude, like, kind of like that type of actor in the 80s. Well, like, I guess this is probably a while ago, maybe like 15 years ago or something. He got one of those emails from Nigerian scammers, you know, and he actually responded to it, and like he like responded back and forth for years with this guy, and he made like a one-man stage show out of it called the Nigerian Spam Scam, where he actually just goes on stage and he reads for like an hour all the crazy emails he sent back and forth with this guy for years.
Very Chad. Oh, yeah. See, I thought you were going to say he fell for one of those scams. And I was like, oh, no. Although, the guy from Summer School.
Yeah, when I was doing research for this, there's recently a lady, I don't know where she got her money from, but this was in, I believe, Hong Kong. This, like, just got uncovered, like, in the last year. This lady got scammed out of $32 million. And they claim, these people claim to be government officials. And that somebody was trying to rob her and like launder money through her name, so that she had to give them the real millions of dollars. So like over the course of, I forget what it was, 14, 16 months, she gave them $32 million. And they even went as far as to send people to her house dressed up like authorities to get her to sign paperwork and shit, dude.
Fuck. Very on Chad.
Very on Chad. Now, like when we should say, like, you know, because in real life this guy was just, you know, in a grocery store, and I'm sure they couldn't film all this guy, the scammer guys, you know, shit in a grocery store. It would have been uncinematic, Yeah,
this is a movie that takes place in like 2 locations, not an easy feat.
No, yeah,
to
like
keep interesting.
Yeah, our boy Pat Healy here is playing the guy. He's been in a lot of low budget movies, a lot of horror movies, weird dramas, or whatever. But
if they ever remake Problem Child, he should play Ben Healy, because he's already got half the name. Very Chad.
He could. But yeah, like there's a scene where he was like drinking like a cup out of a fast food cup, and like it had a different design from theirs, but it kind of looked similar. And for a second, like I thought maybe like, oh, was he supposedly have actually been in the restaurant? But nah, it's just a coincidence.
We actually didn't mention too. We got fucking takeout from Chicken Witch. This we thought it was fake, but yeah, we got it. We got some. We saw the same people there working.
Yeah,
fucking Chick Witch is what's called. I got a fucking dang yeah.
Chicken Witch is like the Halloween version.
Yeah, you gonna eat your onion rings?
No, you can have them. They're kind of
Oh yeah, onion rings are good.
Like they gave me ranch with them, and I prefer Thousand Island with my onion rings.
Yeah, that lady that fell for this is still the manager there too.
Still to this day.
I had her convinced I was fucking John Holmes and shit. She thought I was fucking serious. Very Chad.
Very Chad. She didn't realize John Holmes died of AIDS like 40 years ago.
Well, that's the thing. I was telling her like I faked my death and shit. She's very fucking gullible.
I like how the guy told that kid on the phone, like, hey, this is a procedure, you gotta follow it. And he's like, well, this is a very fucked procedure.
Exactly.
And then the guy was like, hey, this is authority. Like, what are you?
See, that's the thing. Like, this is procedure. You don't know I'm following it. You're just hearing my voice. See, that's the ultimate chat. What if they trolled him back and just said, like, yeah, I'm doing it. Yeah, she doesn't have it.
Yeah, she's naked or whatever.
Yeah, she's naked. They never even went out and got anybody.
Because you know, like, we don't really. I mean, we know like the police reports that were filed over all the other, you know, like the more noteworthy ones. But like of Wikipedia, it only had like 4 instances, including this one. So there's like another 65 times he called people, and like obviously he's not going to admit to it because he claims he never did it or whatever. You know what I mean? Which I would love, you know, to read the transcript of his trial and see how the fuck he got away with it. But yeah. I guess it was just one of those things where they didn't have a ton of proof. You know what I mean? But but like the other calls, how far did he ever get with the other 65 calls? You know what I mean? Like, was there could have been somebody who trolled him back, and like I think the ultimate troll, if he was like, oh, like make her do jumping jacks, whatever, and the people are like, oh shit, a bunch of money just fell out.
That would have been me.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Fucking, I just picked it up and now I'm making it rain all over her tits. It's so hot. It's so hot, bro.
Now, how would he respond? Would he be like, "Hey, you know, I have authority here. Be professional."
Yeah, I got the authority to fucking rain all over her titties right now. It's hot shit.
Because there probably had to be like a lot. Of course, then again, I don't know. Like maybe he did get to some length with a lot of the calls. Because like if they documented over 70, I mean, you know, people had to remember it or whatever. But like, because you know how he just like is like, oh, there's a girl there about 19, and everybody's like, oh, so and so. Like there had to be one where like at some point there was like not a girl, because it seemed like he was always targeting women. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. See, this is a good like deterrent from like people that are like, man, things were so much better before we had the internet. It's like, fucking, this is what you do when you don't have Netflix or the internet to keep you preoccupied. You call people on the phone and like get them to sexually assault people. Exactly.
Like that was everybody's idea of fun. Like when I used to prank call people, we just would put on a funny voice, and I would say like, oh, like I lost a pair of glasses there or something. You know what I mean? Like, it was never anything mean like this. This guy, like, that's why I'm curious. Like, did he start out like that? Just, you know, you do the prank calls when you're a kid, and then eventually he grows old and all that kind of shit.
Mm-hmm. This is what happens. Yep. Fucking, it's a cautionary tale.
So back in, I wanted to read one of the IMDb reviews for this movie. There's a couple I want to read, but I want to read this one. It's actually not funny, so we should stop laughing now. But this person rated the film a 9 out of 10, and it looks like she has a fake like username, but I'm not going to say it anyway. But the subject of her thing, it says from a victim. It said that movie was dead on for a case that occurred in Kentucky. It also happened to me. I was a college kid working for Guess Who and had idiotic managers and coworkers. I was the only honor graduate. I was certainly the only college student employed at that location. It was an easy job, and the people were always nice. I actually enjoyed this job. Then one day, all hell broke loose. I still cannot believe what happened to me. I cannot believe my friends were so stupid as to believe that our Constitution would allow this. I cannot believe that they did stuff to me, except that they were perverts and stupid. Why was this not big news? Because this big corporation, and she puts the words big in all capitals, has all the money and power to keep it low profile. They continue trying to pass the buck or blame to others. The problem was that this had been happening a lot and they didn't warn anyone. If they had, none of it would have happened to me. I won a lawsuit, but haven't seen a cent. Basically, I was told to drop it or they would cost me more in legal fees than I would ever see. So...
Fuck me. Yeah, see, that's what. Yeah, after this, like they'd be dumb to not like add that as part of their training. Like if somebody calls saying they're a cop, don't just, you got to get like proof before you take anything they say seriously and stuff like that. This is where it gets really fucked up because, yeah, he's basically like, oh yeah. He basically tells the manager, like, oh, we need somebody else to come in and help out because we're going to do some, I need somebody as a witness. So, like, she calls her fiance and, like, yeah, this is where it gets really fucked up, baby.
Yeah, because I don't know what the circumstance was in the movie. I mean, she just called, in real life, she called... her whatever fiance to come over and watch the girl, but in the movie they make it seem like he was at his friend's house drinking. So
yeah, he was hanging out with his friends and stuff.
So I mean, maybe that would explain a little bit of the, like, if you're half drunk, like maybe you just walk in and you're kind of falling for it at first, but
yeah, see, this is the guy who it's like, does he kind of, because like after it's all over, like he seems like he's not like enjoying it,
right?
But like he goes through with it to the point where it's like, come on, you really thought the cop wanted you to get a blowjob, whatever happens.
Yeah.
And it's like, fuck me, like nobody's as dumb. And then it ends with him getting back in his car and he calls somebody and he goes, I just did something bad. So it's like, yeah, he probably did. He probably realized at some point, like, this can't be real, but like, because it's like, oh, it's a young girl, she's naked, and like he's drunk and all this stuff. He just went along with it, which is crazy to think about. Yeah.
Yeah, and like that's one area that it's interesting because in the movie they kind of make it seem like the guy's telling, and like because in real life the guy did spank her and bend her over and do all this stuff, and then somehow it ended up with her giving oral sex to him. And like real life, like I couldn't find anything, I guess just people just want to be respectful of the victim and not really whatever, but like the oral sex part, I'm just so curious if like the guy commanded that or if that was like the guy going overboard on his own, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Fucking yeah, that's where you could totally like fucking like, yeah, like even if it was like even if I was that dumb that I still believe like, oh yeah, he really wants me to do this, I wouldn't fucking spank somebody.
Right.
I fucking smack my face like, oh yeah, I'm doing it.
Well,
yeah, she's really sorry.
Yeah, because like he gets really childish with it because he's like, oh, you have to be really forceful with her, and spank her because she's not doing what you say and not taking the apron off, which eventually she does. But then he's like says some stuff like I think he even tells the girl over the phone like oh, and you got to do something nice for him afterward. Like what cop would ever say this? But like I wonder if it's like at this point because in real life this whole ordeal lasted 3.5 hours. Obviously you can't make a 3.5 hour word for word whatever recreation of this movie. So this movie is like a 90-minute movie or something like that. But so time is compressed a little bit. It's I guess it's roughly about half the amount of time that happened in real life. But I wonder if like this is the point, like in the real life incident, like I wonder if this gets to the point of like when you go along with it for like certain amount of hours, like just everything loses coherence in your mind type thing. Because you know how like
beat down by that point, you're just like, if we get through this quick enough, maybe this will end soon or something. Yeah.
Exactly, because it's like that thing of like where they keep people in a police station all night just asking them the same questions over and over. Where like the point all of a sudden people are like, like basically giving confessions to murders they didn't even do and shit. And then people later say, well, why would you ever confess to a murder you didn't do? And like it's like a thing of like when your brain gets tired and you just want it to like end. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yup. Fucking yeah. Very Chad. That's probably like, yeah, the psychology probably plays into it a lot, yeah.
Now, like, I think this is like a timeless movie. Like we're saying, this film isn't even 10 years old, and the real incident happened in 2004. But, like, in order to give this movie a shelf life, because I think this is kind of like an important thing for society, like, Because nowadays, like, you know, and not that they could have predicted this 10 years ago, Zach, when they made this movie, but like now people really only like really want to go see movies if it's like tied into like a video game. So maybe when they were like doing those shots of like all the people eating the sandwiches all hungry outside, if they just would have had like a video game out there, like you think that would have kept this movie a little more timeless? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And then
what if they made a video game first so that they could make the movie based on the video game? They were thinking that 3D chess into it.
Well, also too is like they could do that thing where like, you know how some movies like they work in like the music from another thing within the movie into the score. So like maybe like, you know, like as the people are like they show some kids out there pounding on the joysticks of the arcade game out in the lobby or whatever, like then like the sounds are coming into like the back of the restaurant. So like while the guy's like, you know, telling everybody he's a cop on the phone and stuff, all you hear is finish.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean? Like you could have worked
from Pac-Man and shit.
exactly. You could have really worked that in, and then like the part where like she's refusing like the take the. You could always make it like Uwe Boll's House of the Dead, like the part where she's like, I don't want to take off the apron. Like you cut to like the screen of the video game and you just hear, get over here. Like, cause like for 2021, and again, nobody could have foretold this in like 10 years ago, but people will not see a film now unless it's like based on a video game from their childhood, wouldn't you say?
Exactly. Fucking, we're doing this commentary right on the day that fucking Mortal Kombat released on the fucking HBO Max.
Exactly.
See, they really fucked up. They should have called it Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Fucking very Chad with a K even.
Well, do you remember when they would always market Mortal Kombat games, like on the ads or whatever? Like I always used to see them even in the back of comic books. That's how old Mortal Kombat is. They would always like anything in the like the description of the game, like anything that was spelled with a C, they would just change it to a K.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you could even like call the name of this movie Compliance, but with a K.
Mm-hmm.
People
or compliance, CUM.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's got to be com or the fucking combat, basically, with a K or with the CUM.
Because this is a serious drama, but like let's be honest, like American movie audiences don't really want serious dramas anymore. They want arcade simulation video game movies. You gotta kind of like, even though you're doing a humanistic drama, you kind of gotta bend it to be to the modern audience. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Imagine, I just thought like I joked about making this a video game first. Imagine the shit a video game adaptation of this would get, like a rape simulator fucking game. Remember back whenever Bully was coming out, fucking Lou Dobbs or someone on Fox News called it a Columbine simulator.
Yeah, that was weird because I don't think there was any school shootings in Bully. Was it? No,
there wasn't. They were like overly, like basically jumping on like because they were so offended by like Metal Gear or Grand Theft Auto, and it was like it's the same company that makes Grand Theft Auto. We're gonna have a Columbine simulator. Fucking, you know what's funny too is as a kid, I thought a Columbine simulator. I want to see what that'd be like. See, that's how fucking like edgy and like goofy you are as a kid. It's like fucking like just the more edgy it is. It's like I gotta play that. And then I played it and I'm like, this ain't no Columbine. Fuck you, Lou Dog. You lied to me.
Like you I don't know if you remember this, but I was never like a PC gamer guy, but there was I heard about it on the news for like literally years in the early 90s, Zach. There was, and I'm sure it was like some shit, it's like some DOS-based game that somebody made in like their fucking basement. But everybody claimed that there was this controversial video game that was based on like a Holocaust simulation. And like every time I would go to like Babbage's or Electronics Boutique, I would look in the computer section and be like, does this game really exist? And like I never found it. So it's like, it's weird that it always came up. I can't remember what the name of it was. But like, yeah.
That is yikesy.
Very.
We're at the scene now. Where the fucking
the apron.
Make her give you the apron. I said, but like, yeah, fucking. Oh yeah, check her body for like scars, tattoos. Oh yeah, you gotta give her cavity search again. Very fucking. And he looks like he's just like, this is ridiculous. Like he looks disgusted by it for a little bit. And then like yeah, even like up to the point when it's like getting close to like the ultimate fucking the blowjob, like oh
Yeah.
make her give you like he still looks up until that point, but then like after that it's like did something fucking just snap and like now he's going along with it. Very fucking very slimy. Fucking
Yeah.
this movie actually does feel more exploitation, or not exploitation. It makes you feel gross more than like those movies do, because like there's always a sense of like, oh yeah, it's like fucking like because you watch it and it's like, oh how depraved can they be? Fucking the Last House on the Left. How far are they gonna take it? And you're just ready. But here it's like much more like it seems more realistic.
Yeah. Because I was going to say, like, even though she's technically been naked the whole time and trying to cover herself with this apron, which is like what happened in real life. But when you see the real life footage, the apron's even like way smaller, like not really covering nearly as much. But even though she's been naked like the whole time, I think the director gave a good choice here, in that like he never really reveals like her chest and everything, and because once she gives the apron away, then she's covering herself with her hands, and the guy commands on the phone, take it away. Like, I think that was a smart choice that, like, they saved, like, the nudity to, like, this late in the film. So, like, it's like you don't get desensitized to it, even though you technically know it's embarrassing because it's like, oh, she's naked. And also, too, like, you're not really sure through, like, the beginning part of the movie of, like, okay, is this movie really going to do it? Or are they actually going to make this actress, like, show her nudity? You know what I mean? So it's like it comes at more of a shock when like she finally like, puts her hands down, shows her whole her naked body, pretty much from the waist up. So you're kind of like it lets you know, even though this scene is just as like slow and meticulously placed as others, like you kind of know the clock is ticking now. Like we're coming down into like kind of like the home stretch of the movie because shit is escalating to a really bad place right here.
And this is where it just gets like really frustrating watching the movie, because it's just like you just want to grab these people and shake them, like what the fuck?
Yeah.
How are you falling for this? Like make her do jumping jacks. Like oh she might have the money hidden up there. You gotta make her do jumping jacks to see if it falls out. And like fucking make her bend over and spread her cheeks. Like what the fuck?
Which never made this whole thing of like take your clothes off because the money could be hidden and all that. It's like, okay, first of all, how much money could you grab out of a lady's purse when she sets it down on the counter right in front of herself? Like, wouldn't she be like, if she really saw you take the money, wouldn't she be like, hey, give me my money back?
Yeah, why would she have ever left unless she like just, oh, it's gone now. I only went one place. It must have been then. But even then, like you don't know for sure. You can't speak with ultimate authority. Like you know for sure it was them that took it. You could have just misplaced it, never had it in your fucking wallet or whatever to begin with, and it's just somewhere else that you didn't fucking think of. But like, yeah, it's just like fucking yeah. I forgot where I was going.
No, but what I was saying is like, okay, let's say it's a small amount of money because the guy never says how much, $20, $40. She could easily have $40 of her own money in her pants pockets. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just very weird. It's like why would you need to hide? I mean, first of all, I don't think you could hide a large amount of money in a body orifice or cavity, but it's like, it's just like you would just put the money in your pocket. And and I don't know how it was in the real thing, but in the movie she says, oh, these pants, they have fake pockets. You can't even put anything in them. So like, there's literally no possible way that she could have taken the money and had it on her.
Yeah, like you can't just take money in broad daylight in front of a bunch of customers and then fucking sneakingly hide it in your snatch. Like that's not gonna fucking work. Like you gotta fucking undo your pants and shit, or at least go underneath it. Like see, like she walks in and sees this happening, and she's so like stuck in there in the tunnel vision, she doesn't even realize like fucking what she's seeing. And then this scene where she's like, help me, like this is the biggest like fucking kind of slap in the face when you're watching a movie. Like how could anybody be this stupid?
Yeah, because it's even worse in real life, because in real life, like the girl was crying and like hugging the lady, and the lady was like hugging her at one point, saying like, oh, okay, just get through it. And like this part, when you see the real life footage, Zach, like it's so insane because it's a much smaller area, like I was saying, in real life, and the girl completely has like no whatever on. And like the lady like runs through like the office to get to the safe or wherever, file cabinet, wherever she was going to, and like she has to cross like right in between the guy and the girl, and like the guy sitting on the chair and the girl sitting on the desk, and the girl's completely naked, and it's not till like the lady passes them that the guy throws the apron back to the girl and she puts it back on, or like she actually was never really wearing it in real life the way she was just holding it in front of herself, I guess, because I think it was more of like a waist apron in real life, not like the kind you put around your neck or whatever. But what's crazy too is like they show that clip on the news interview, and the guy says like, oh yeah, she was naked right here, and the lady's like, no, she always had the apron on, she always had the apron on, and like the guy just showed the fucking the fucking like footage of the lady, and she's denying what's on the tape. You know what I mean? Like, it's so fucking insane.
Even with the apron on, like no cop would do this. Yeah,
Just insane. But this is like the point. Like, I think there was some good shit too, like where they do like a lot of close-ups of the eyeballs and shit, and like you kind of get the sense like the lady seemed more oblivious to me in real life. In all honesty, like I don't think she really knew until it was all over. But in the movie, like you can tell, like it's a good acting job by the actress who plays the manager. Like you can tell she's kind of starting to doubt it because it's been going on for so long. But like at the same time, she's like. It's like that fucking thing, man, of just going along with something terrible. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And we talked over the part where he started getting notifications on his the cop guy, not the real. He's not a real cop, but he started getting the notifications like, "Oh, your card is about to expire," and he fucking panics and runs to find another one. I'm like, I'm gonna lose these people. Like they're falling for it. I'm gonna fucking lose them. He gets all fucking worried. He grabs another card and puts it in real quick, and it's fucking like, my gosh. The fucking the balls on this guy.
Well, like at this point, he had keeping this, the guy on the phone. He had like concocted this scam to keep this young girl. Which, by the way, I mean, young people work. I was underage the entire time I worked at McDonald's. I mean, I think pretty much everybody was, in all honesty, except for the people who like closed late at night or opened early. This guy, like, he never asked, like, oh, how old is this girl? Like, they could have easily been doing this to a 16-year-old girl, and this guy would have never have given a shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I wonder if, like, maybe they would have tried to prosecute him even harder if it was an underage girl. They might have, like, through the, like, really fucking, like, even without as much evidence as they usually would need, like, since it's, like, even more heinous.
I mean, I guess it really wouldn't have mattered if the jury just was going to let him walk anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, this is the point where he's just like, but it's like you said, when he's like fumbling to get the phone card, like, re-up so he can stay on the phone longer or whatever. It's kind of like, it's like, haven't you done enough, fucker? Like, jeez.
Yeah, he's telling her, like, oh, I'm actually at your house right now because, it gets out of that, like, her brother. And again, he doesn't know any of this, but he vaguely gestures at things, and then they bring up, like, oh, my brother, and he goes, bingo. So, like, basically they're feeding him all the information he needs. And, like, so, yeah, he's like, oh, I'm at your house right now. We're trying to put your brother behind bars. And, like, yeah, you could go to jail, too, because we have reason to, suspect that you were helping him sell drugs or whatever. So, like, yeah, she thinks, like, fucking, yeah, like, who knows what's going on in her mind now? Like, fucking, yeah. But, like, the other kid, he brings up, like, I know her brother. Like, he wouldn't do that or something like that. Like, yeah, it's just, like, fucking just being in the, being there and, like, under the pressure of, like, you could go to jail. But it's like at the beginning of it, he's like, oh yeah, we can let her like strip search you, or we can take you to jail. And he keeps like, oh, we'll throw the book at you too. And it's like, fucking, like, yeah, it's like, it's the only reason to be scared is if you really had something to hide there. But like when you're a kid, it's like,
Yeah, and it's really weird because, like, when I watch this, and obviously working at places, I worked at McDonald's, like I said, when I was 17. I think when you watch this, like, no matter who you are, it really makes you examine, like, how much would you have, like, gone along with this, or how susceptible were you. And I gotta say,
I fucking hope I wouldn't have went along with this. Holy shit. I feel like to at least some degree, I probably could have been had when I was like maybe 10 to 12.
But I don't even think when I was 13, 14, 15 years old, I don't think I would have fell for this, in all honesty. Like, maybe at first to the point of, like, oh, we think you're in trouble or whatever. But once they're, like, asking you to do illegal shit, it's kind of like, this is, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, like, since this was the scariest point of the movie here, this is right before all the oral sex and stuff happens, I thought it'd be fitting that one of the reviews I found was somebody who was very scared of this movie, actually, Zach. So I want to read this guy saying I won't say his name. I think it's a fake name or fake screen name, but this was on May 27, 2013. This person, he rated this film an 8 out of 10. And the subject of his review is, "This is why I'm on disability and a recluse and alone. I'm a 43-year-old man, never in a relationship, and basically gave up on life." And yeah, like, this is very
black-pilled. He's very black-pilled.
He's very
black-pilled him.
Yeah, you've never heard anything like this review. In 2013, I'm terrified of humanity in the world. I don't like to go out. Everything terrifies me, and when I do go out, and basically can't stand it and drive home. I live in a psychological horror who never moved out, still lives. I know some of this, the way it's written, it doesn't really quite make sense, but it says, "I live in a psychological horror who never moved out, still lives with my parents, and a loser, but one with a reason. I was younger and had my fears, but was less tense. Now I sit with death overhead, even dreading that. This movie put me in all that humanity is evil state, and that's why I'm writing this. I feel violated that humanity sucks with the idealism joke of helping people. I don't trust anybody. Why the fuck?" And fuck is spelled F-U-K in all capitals.
He's into Mortal Kombat, probably.
It does look like the Mortal Kombat spelling now that I look at it again. "I don't trust anybody. Why the fuck should I trust them, even though I go anyway and pay $130. I don't know what he's paying $130 for, by the way, but he says he goes anyway and pays $130. "Earth is a weird place, and I say 3 out of 10 would agree." Wow, he's doing statistics now. 3 out of 10 would agree with what I'm writing because they just know. Life is floating in infinite space, and I feel I'm doing that in a 15-mile radius on Earth.
I thought he was giving Earth a 3 out of 10, like he was rating Earth too.
No, it's saying 3 out of 10 people, yeah. He says, "And that's what's funny. All I do is use this computer every day, freaking me out more because this is an infinite place too. And technology is another horror, ... We are doomed, I believe, or I am, the end," in all capitals, the end. So, I mean, that's somebody who's already in a scared state of mind, and seeing this film, like, I don't even know how he came across it, but seeing this film put him even more into the depressive state. So,
fucking, this movie is just crippling depression, this guy.
So yeah, what happened was the oral sex.
Yeah, we just passed that, and it is fucking like ugh. So, like, yeah, we're seeing him now, and it's like, yeah, like, is he just now realizing it after, or did he realize it and just went along with it? We'll never know.
Yeah, if I would have to guess, and again, I don't know what the real life guy was like in this movie itself, leaves it very nebulous, because when they do the oral sex part, like, you don't see anything except just the girl. You can tell she's on her knees, and like they kind of do a gross thing where, like, they show her like feet are all dirty from walking on this floor all day, and then like right away it cuts to like I guess like the dirty dishes, like with soap in them and stuff, and then like it looks like globs of cum floating around in water. Did you notice that, Zach?
I did notice that. Yeah, I didn't.
Greasy.
Grease.
Now finally, the horror has come to a, and this is exactly mirrored on the real life thing. The guy leaves.
The Chad maintenance man comes to save the day. Yeah.
Yeah. So that guy goes out to his pickup truck, calls his buddy, and says, "I did a bad thing," and that's actually verbatim. So I guess we should talk about the manager's fiance, who, I don't know how to say it, but they call it sexual assault, oral sex, forced oral sex, however it happened. We don't know. But I'm guessing they use, obviously, the videotape. He was on video the whole time in real life and in this movie. So, I mean, I don't know how he ever thought he would get away with that. But
so he did, the oral sex thing did happen too?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, I must have misunderstood and thought you mentioned that was the only thing they made up for the movie. Okay, that is fucked up.
Yeah, like it just that was the whatever. So like yeah, and it's just like I don't know, but
He ended up getting some kind of
5 years. Yeah,
yeah, I think he got 5 years, but like he ended up serving community service and didn't even have to. I think I read that somewhere. I could be wrong.
yeah.
But yeah, that's really fucked up. Yeah. We're getting ready to discover, like, yeah, she's gonna walk back in the with the maintenance man. Luckily, he's fucking Chad enough to like, hey, this isn't, we shouldn't be doing this. And then like, yeah, basically like, yeah, that's a really like memorable moment is when she gets back on the phone, and then like he just kind of drops it, like he's trying to joke, and he goes. He like, oh yeah, I want to order this, and then she sits there for a second, like, holy shit, I've been lied to, and then he like tries to break back into it, and like, oh, I'm just joking. This is Dr. Scott or Detective Scott, and it's like that tells you like he realized she was that fucking gullible that he might have still been able to drag her back
to keep going. Yeah, it's insane.
Holy shit.
Yeah, like the real life girl said during all this shit was going on that she was scared for her life. It said she'd been in the office for 2.5 hours when she was ordered to perform oral sex. So, but it doesn't say whether the guy on the phone or like the actual guy that was there. So, like, yeah, that's all 100% true.
Yeah, I'm sure the guy on the phone. Well, I guess he wouldn't have. Yeah, I was thinking at first, like, I never told him to go that far, but he probably just refused to admit any guilt at all. Yeah.
Finally, Harold, the maintenance man, comes in. And I liked how they said that was a good storytelling because they set up at the beginning of the movie, which is actually 100% true, by the way. They set up, the maintenance man's leaving in the morning, and they're like, "Oh, you want to get a shift meal?" He's like, "No, but I'll come back later for one of them shakes." So he came back for in real life, they just said a dessert. In the movie, it's a milkshake. But again, man, this movie's 90% real.
Yeah, and one thing that like right away put me like made me not trust the manager. She was naming off the flavors, and she said, "I've never been big into the cookies and cream, but that's good. You don't like cookies and cream, bitch? I don't trust a thing you say that long."
I've never heard anybody say that ever in life. I don't really like cookies and cream. Everybody loves cookies and cream. Why do you think it's like the number one flavor they have everywhere?
Exactly. You get that fucking Hershey's cookies and cream, fucking the big family size.
Oh,
Chad.
Yeah.
Just fucking die in a pool of your own piss and shit and cum eating big cookies and cream like that. Very Chad.
And you know what's weird about cookies and cream is they always have Oreos, right? But if you go to like the grocery store, there's obviously tons of Oreos, but then there's like all these fake Oreo brands in it. But when you buy ice cream, even if you buy like the fakest no-name brand ice cream, that still seems like it has the real Oreos in it somehow.
There is a generic brand of Oreos, and it's funny because the generic brand was actually the original. Oreo was the guys that came. Yeah, they knocked it off, and they ended up getting like more popular. I forget what the original are just called. They have like a weird, almost medicine sounding name to them.
Oh yeah, they're called like Hydrox or something.
Yeah, Hydrox.
I think I got those one time. You know what's funny?
Was the original, yeah.
Yeah, that Oreo cookie. That's almost like what happened with Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter, wouldn't you say?
Exactly. Fucking you delivering the Chad takes. You know what's funny is they're gonna force me to watch freaking the new Mortal Kombat movie, and I gotta do a commentary of it. And fucking they're already talking. I'm seeing like fucking Aaron. He's like fucking. I started watching last night. Not good. Very rough. It's like you're gonna make me watch it twice now too.
I don't know if you saw, but the other day they put out the first 7 minutes, and I out of the first 7 minutes, I fast forward through like probably 5 minutes of it. It was so boring.
The fucking first 7 minutes are boring. Exactly.
Now there are two Chad heroes in this. First, there was Harold, the maintenance man, who came in for the milkshake, and he said, "Hey, this is wrong. Like, no, why? Like, I'm not going to do this." And then eventually, like, they're like, they realize like, hey, this is wrong or whatever, no cop, whatever. And then like the guy just hung up. So then they call like Chad. This movie's got me. I'm terrified like that guy was on his review. Chad number 2 of the story is the cop who actually comes in and is the guy who's going to hunt him down.
Exactly. He shows up and he's like, "Wait, they told you to take the clothes off, and you didn't just simply say no. You didn't. You
Exactly.
never thought for a second to just say no." And then you can see the look on their face, like we could have said no.
Yeah, like that was
And
an option.
exactly. Fucking yeah. A cop. You think a cop is telling you to do this shit, and you follow blindly.
Yep. And like the thing that's crazy is like in real life, and I think they say it in the movie too. It's like the real police station is like only half a mile away from the restaurant. So like, in what world would like the cops be half a mile away and they're just too busy to send somebody over? You know what I mean?
Exactly. You're in there for 3 hours waiting for a cop to show up. Yeah.
Now, a lot of people don't really know how, again, when I was talking about this being such an important film, like, it's really influential because, like, this is all one take, Zach. I don't know if you noticed it, but when they showed they have a camera strapped to the door of this car, and they show the cop walking up to the car. He gets in, he lights a cigarette, he drives in real time all the way to the restaurant, and now he gets out, which means the fact that you can still see him in this view, he left his car door wide open. He's going into the restaurant, but that actually influenced Martin Scorsese when he was making Goodfellas. That scene where they walk forever and ever into the back of the restaurant. So,
fucking Martin Scorsese went back in time, influenced by this movie, and added that shot in. That's the fucking power. Exactly.
Especially you can tell that it was added in later if you ever see the 4K. It's jarring the difference. But so this is basically just like the wrap up, where just all the cops are like dumbfounded, interviewing the employees. They're getting all the evidence and stuff, which in real life, they looked at the video that night with the manager, and that's how she found out that her fiance forced the girl or whatever to have oral sex with him, and then she broke up with him that night. So that's how quick justice was served on this one.
Fucking me. Fucking yeah, half justice. Fucking and not the car.
Yeah. Not the caller.
Yeah,
Again, the caller ended up getting totally away from this. Like, the movie kind of ends like, oh, they go to arrest him or whatever. He works at a tele whatever, which I don't even know if that part of it's true, but the tele whatever selling job.
See, yeah, they could have ended it with him getting off scot-free, and it would have made the ending even more infuriating, but they left that out. Like, they could have added that.
It's literally about the only part of the true story that they left out. And they also do this thing where they kind of try to like show how creepy he is, that he's actually a family man with kids and stuff. And it just like, again, this was a very weird hobby because you don't do this for like 12 years and not whatever. But another way this film's influential is a lot of people, I don't know if you're familiar with this film, but with the Marvel Cinema Universe, Zach, Captain America Civil War, the character of, or at least the MCU version of the character Baron von Zemo, was based on this character in this movie, because he does a lot of phone calls and he tricks the Avengers into fighting each other, and tricks the Winter Soldier into committing murder and all this stuff. So yeah,
I thought you were gonna say he tricks the Winter Soldier into getting a blowjob from Wonder Woman or something.
I mean,
get that fucking dog there too. Exactly.
Could.
But yeah, that just shows you like that real time fucking driving to the market. Yeah. That's how long it took to get to the fucking police. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That was the whole point. It was literally because when you watch the movie and you see that like real time driving shot, you're kind of because this movie, as long as it's character based and dialogue based, and it does feel like it has a slow pace. But even then, like that shot sticks out to you, where you're like, why are they just showing this guy driving? Because he's not really doing anything, just smoking a cigarette and driving the car. But it is to show you when they reveal later on that the police station was like pretty much right down the street. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And it sticks out because it's the first time you see outside of the location in a long time. Yeah. So it's pretty clever how they did that. Yeah. And this is where he finds out like this has happened multiple times, like because he called to talk about this case and this guy's confused. Like that happened a couple months ago. And so, like, he finds out, like, yeah, this happens, like, I forget how many times the guy ended up doing it. This guy had a lot of free time.
Yeah, and honestly, until, like, this case, because kind of, like, what happened with there is, like, this case was, like, I guess the final case, that we know of. But pretty much they go back and they retrace, and, like, it's just pretty much because the guy called, he didn't just call in one city, he called around, I think he placed over the stats, and I think they give it at the end here too, but I think it was 70 calls over 30 states. So it's like over the course of 12 years, you got to kind of factor that into your head too.
It says they think he might have coerced over 70 fast food outlets in 31 states. So yeah, fuck me. And he was a prison guard too.
Was he the real guy? Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, yeah, it's like that thing of like it literally did take a decade plus for law enforcement to connect all these things, you know what I mean? And what's weird is like, you know, the cases that I read off were, you know, like pretty much he liked to get to the people, like he had an MO, like he liked to get all the different people, the different restaurants to do the exact same thing, it seemed like.
Yeah, here's the final scene where they're being interviewed.
Yeah. Well, the girl's talking to a lawyer, and she wants to sue her manager because she didn't protect her or whatever. And like the lawyer is basically explaining, like, well, you just don't want to sue somebody who's broke and whatever. You know, you want to sue like, you know, the company that puts you at risk because like they knew this was going on. Which is like, I know there's a lot of people say like, oh, McDonald's was never at fault and all this kind of stuff. But it's like, if you know this is going on in your restaurants and it's already happened, it's made strip search happen, it made body cavity search happen, like, you got to do something. You know what I mean? Like, you got to do something to make sure, even more than just memos and shit, you got to make sure, like, this gets shut down right away, you know, while this is still going on.
Yep, every fucking one of the managers should have been told, like, if someone calls and says they're a police officer, don't just believe it. Fucking...
Exactly.
You know, if they say they're on their way, then just say you're gonna wait for them to show up, then or whatever.
Exactly. And here's the recreation of the interview. Yeah, and like you get, it's very similar to the excerpts of the real interview I watched before we record this. Like it's pretty scary how accurate it is, and it's just that's pretty much how the real lady answered. It was just like, well, you know, I was doing what I was told, and it was a police officer. It's just like, holy fuck, man. It's like.
Yeah.
We're
compliance, just blindly following is not a good thing to do, ladies and gentlemen.
Nope, it's not.
And it was clever to set her up as like a character that's always looking, you know, craving, you know, kind of like, you know, the nod from everybody around her, like fucking just somebody like to acknowledge that, like, oh yeah, you're doing a good job, or whatever.
Yeah, because the real girl said that, like, when she was, you know, the manager was talking with the guy on the phone, that she was laughing and giggling and responding to what he said. So it wasn't all, like, you know, like threat of whatever, you know, arrest or whatever. Like, there was some banter between them and this guy on the phone. That
probably was really when he was like, hey, you should be a cop. You're really good at this. I'm like, oh, no. Fucking push over.
Insane. And, like the thing about it is it's like it's kind of weird because it's like he's like, you know, I'm glad they made this movie because I know a lot of people are like, because I had seen that news special that was about this whole case and all that, and it got me interested to be like, holy shit, this actually really happened somewhere, and then to find out it happened. So like I wanted to watch the movie, and like I think watching it, like when you watch the news thing, you're just shocked that it happened. But I think when you watch the movie, the reason the movie's justified in being made the way it was is like it actually makes you like have more emotions about it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And there's definitely a message to the movie. Like you shouldn't, fucking be skeptical of things like this. Not too scared. Like the cop shows up finally and shows you his badge and it's like, oh fucking now it's time. Like I still don't believe you. You're fucking behind bars. I still think this is just part of some big scam.
That's if you've been blue pilled or what.
Exactly.
But yeah, so the interesting thing was not only did the girl sue McDonald's because she had a lot of PTSD and it was hard for her to go on, you know, with her life, but also the manager lady sued. So the girl who was the victim sued, and the jury awarded her $6.1 million. Like, I think she sued for like $200 million, and like the jury gave her $6.1 million. And then this lady, I want to say she sued for $50 million. The manager, saying that McDonald's, you know, didn't do its due diligence in warning her as a manager, and she actually got $1 million. Which, I mean,
exactly.
You know, it's like the flip side of that though is like, like, part of me was like, I don't think you should have gave it to her, but at the same time, it's like, this lady will never work again. Let's be honest.
Fucking Michael Keaton had a big paycheck that week.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He did.
Serves him right for stealing those fucking good old boys' idea anyway.
He did. They had that little stand, and then he ripped it off, and he made the milkshakes fake, too.
Exactly. Fucking instant milkshakes. What a lame-o.
Yeah, you can't even make a real fucking milkshake. Michael Keaton, get out of here.
See, like, I've been thinking of the movies over now.
Yeah.
Like, I was thinking about, I've been, like, writing down some dank-ass, like porno names, just in case I ever break out into porno. I got Michael Skeeton was one I came up
Michael
with.
Skeeton, yeah.
And Roger Adultery was really good, too. Very Chad.
Yeah, for those classic rock fans.
Exactly. And then, like, the easy ones, like Tom Yanks. Surprised no one's ever used that yet.
His son probably uses it. What's that guy? He said it's White Boy Summer or whatever. He's probably Tom Yanks.
Oh, yeah.
Rapper.
Exactly.
White rapper.
Yeah. We completed the film. Like, what's your overall take on this movie?
I gotta say, it's literally like, I don't know if it's like one of my favorite movies of all time, but it's definitely one of my favorite movies of like the last 10 years. Because, we kind of like went through this, and I kind of bitch about this on the show a lot, but we kind of went through this thing where it's like, I miss because movies have to be like so high concept and so CGI heavy, or people will just be like, oh, I'll just wait and watch that later, streaming, and then they never fucking ever do. So it's like, and like when I was a kid, like I used to go see these movies that took place in like one location. I'm like, this is boring. Like, why are you hanging out in one room or one this or that? I mean, this is obviously because it's based on a true story, and that's the way you got to tell the story. But I gotta say, like, that's like pretty much like, I will give a filmmaker a big thumbs up if you can actually just set something between a couple characters in a small, like, one location type thing and actually keep my interest. Kind of like with Clerks, when we talked about that. So, I mean, I genuinely do think this film's amazing. Just because, like, supposedly the budget was, like, I think $270,000, and, like, they actually got pretty decent actors, and it was shot good and everything. And, like I said, it's a hard sell of a movie, but, nobody wants to watch something so depressing and so kind of, like, it kind of is like a one-note movie, but it has to be, because there's no happiness, like, there's no comic relief in this type of situation, you know what I mean?
The motherfucker got away with it. Yeah. There's no...
Yeah. And it's, but it's that thing, like I said, like, I think this is valid as a movie, even above just, like, watching, like, the news footage of it. Like, I think it's valid as a movie, because, like, I think there's a place, or at least there should be a place, for movies that examine, like, human condition, human psyche, that really examine, like, and, like, this whole thing was nothing but a compliance experiment in real life by this fucking guy who did this, scam thing, you know what I mean, that he did. So it's like, I don't know how you would make this movie any better, and because I don't think you could really make it any better. Like, you could make this movie for like $50 million with the top actors or whatever, and I don't think it would be any, like, what, like, because those scenes, like, especially when, like, the guy comes and he's spanking her and all that, it's like, oh, look, 2012 Bad Cop Film Productions. That's a fitting name for this thing. But, like, I don't think there's any other version of this movie that will skeeze you and creep you out even more than this one did. So, like, in all honesty, I would give this a 10 out of 10. What did you think about it? Because I saw that this was available to watch, and I was just like, I literally have been dying for almost the last 10 years to cover this more in depth. So,
yeah, like, I would give it at least a 7. Yeah, like, it's funny because I watched it the first time and was like, fucking, like, I'd give that, like, I remember, like, fucking unbelievable, no way. Fucking, I remember 1 out of 10 or something like that. I was angry watching this movie, but, like, yeah, the fact that you could get fucking angry watching a movie like that shows you that it's really getting to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like fucking, like, oh my god, like. Yeah, it is. It's frustrating. Like, I think that's the average rating on IMDb is a 6.4, and I think that even when people like it, it's still such a frustrating movie to watch. Like, I can see a lot of people like, fuck, yeah.
Yeah, you have to be in the mood, and I know it's like, just like anything, sometimes I'm in the mood to watch a comedy, sometimes I'm in the mood to watch like a horror movie, but like. And there's like kind of a discussion too online that I think is interesting, Zach, is a lot of people are saying like this is actually a horror movie, even though it's like based on a real case. And like I would kind of agree with that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just like
This is like a good movie to like. It'd be interesting. Like I definitely I plan on getting this on Blu-ray just because it seems like it'd be great to put in when you're with somebody. You're like, hey, you want to see something fucked up that's completely true? Like 100% based on what really happened, and just gauge their reaction. Like watch their frustration as they're watching the movie.
Well, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but this is just the opening line of one of the reviews, and it's legit because this is back from August 3rd, 2012, and the heading is unpleasant to watch but important, and the person says, I saw this today at the Traverse City Film Festival. About 1/4 of the audience walked out before the film didn't. I do not disagree that the movie is difficult to watch, but I think you can hardly review a movie where you walked out without seeing the entire film. This film makes an important and real point. I agree.
One of the trivia entries said that like when it premiered at I forget what, let me look it up. The Hollywood Reporter noted the film's premiere at Sundance 2012 was met with a polarized reaction, eliciting both cheers and booing. So yeah, like fucking, I can see it. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just like, it's just one of those movies like, I can't compare it to any other movie because it will wrap you up in a certain way. Because like you said, like a lot of people that gave the bad reviews, like they didn't know the real life case. So it's like, it's interesting too. Like I'm not saying you should have to know this or that to enjoy a movie. But I mean, this is probably like the only case I can think of where it's like, where you really know the real story, it will completely change your view of the movie, you know? Because like you said, like if you don't know, you think these are just, like who wrote this garbage script? Why are these people doing it? Oh,
that guy did not approve of you calling this a garbage script. That was probably the director right there.
Yeah, he just pulled up. It's like we have like the mutants from The Hills Have Eyes, like, or maybe it's probably Rob Zombie and his Dracula.
Exactly. He's thinking about remaking it and fucking making it take place in a trailer park.
Trailer park liquor store or something.
Yeah.
He's gonna set it in the back room with the hot pussy liquors from House of a Thousand Corpses.
Exactly. Yep.
No,
I was gonna say something, but like, I forgot.
Me too. After I got my ears blasted out, even though I have headphones, I got my ears blasted out from fucking Dracula. But yeah, it just I don't know. It's just there's something about the movie. There's nothing else like it. And like I know it's hard to convince people, and I really do hope we do convince people to watch it. But like to go seek out the movie. But one thing
I was gonna mention that this would be an interesting like how Netflix does those docuseries, like the true crime docuseries where they get the people involved, and like that'd be an interesting one to do
if they could actually find the guy and he was willing to get interviewed.
Oh yeah, and then the people involved in the restaurant too.
Yeah. I remember the last thing I was going to say was, besides this being the most important film of our lifetime, I also wanted to cover this film because I wanted to see if we could make history with this one, Zach, and we could break. Man, Dracula will not go the fuck away. I guess he's
just burning through the witches and slamming in the ditches or whatever.
Yeah, and he's in the back of his Dracula. But, I was going to see if we could break history because the last time I kind of did this, because I always want to cover drama films. It's very hard to do in this commentary format because dramas are, I would say, like, 1/4 of, like, my favorite film types or whatever. And the last time I really picked a drama that was like one of my lifelong favorite films, The Chocolate War. I convinced Trev to watch it for the first time we did it. We definitely set records for the all-time lowest downloads. So I want to see if we can cross our fingers that can we break the all-time lowest download mark with our coverage of Compliance.
Oh yes, fucking that these beta listeners don't know where the good shit is.
Exactly. But yeah, so I mean that's pretty much it. I mean, by the time this releases in a couple weeks, we'll safe to say that they can go see your version of Compliance or listen to your version of Compliance with you reviewing the Mortal Kombat, huh, Zach?
Exactly. See comply and go download this episode. Fucking listen to the Compliance episode because you are compliant little people, and a cop said you have to do it. That's all we gotta do.
If we could only get the real guy to do like the intro to our show where he says he's a police officer and he's ordering you by law to listen to every episode of the movie Graveyard 5 times.
Exactly.
Like our numbers would just explode and we'd be in the stratosphere.
Oh, yes.
That would be amazing.
See, he needs to get on Cameo. You could pay him to do that. Just read something at the beginning of your episode.
I didn't even think about that if he was on Cameo. That'd be amazing.
He could be. We should look into it.
Like, because he didn't get convicted, but I would think he had to lose his job as a prison guard or whatever.
Probably.
Yeah.
Depends on how scummy he is. If he's like willing to make a buck off of that, rather than like if he's like not as scummy but still scummy, he would actually have enough pride to be like, I ain't gonna come out and admit and like make a joke about how I victimize people like that. But like one can hope that he could be that scummy.
Yeah. So definitely, I think this is the best version of the movie. Of the story that's been dramatized. It's actually been turned into a bunch of different things. There was also, I can't find it, but there was a short film called Plainview, which played the film festival circuit as far as back in 2007, 2008. That episode of Law and Order Special Victims Unit. Then obviously this film. There was
Did this happen in the early 2000s? Or was it late 90s?
This was 2004 that this particular, yeah.
Yeah.
Like the first time they think he ever did it was in 92, but like it all come crashing down in 2004. So pretty much like, yeah, I think Plainview is the first like adaptation of it. So there was that, then Law and Order, then this film in 2012. 2016, they were still going with it. There was a play called My Dang Lao, written by David Jacoby, which opened at the Victory Gardens in Chicago. I'm not sure why it has such an Asian title, but... And then more recently, and I actually saw this on YouTube. I'm going to check this out. There is something called the Case File True Crime Podcast that featured this in episode September 2020. The episode is titled Case 157, The Strip Search Scam. So, and I'm thinking probably after this on this Wikipedia will be like the newest one, 2021. They'll have to put our coverage on it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Fucking the podcast that danked everyone to dust even started the podcast out by getting the actual color to demand everybody listen to it.
Exactly. Who does that?
Exactly. Who else?
But anyway, I know this was a crazy one, and it's almost like, what can you say about it? Because it's such a weird movie and a weird situation. But I think we explained it in excruciating detail as best as we possibly could, both the real life case and the movie. So I want to thank you for doing the extra work, Zach, and coming and doing this one. It was a lot of fun.
Always, baby.
Well, as fun as this covering this movie can be, I should say.
Hell yeah, they could have been. Yeah,
it's tough to work in the jokes and humor when you know there's a mouth rape coming later in the film. But.
Exactly. I wanted to point out that chick was a Stacy, but I couldn't do it. She's getting taken advantage of.
Yeah.
She doesn't need me fucking cracking jokes also.
Yeah. But by the way, thank God this didn't happen like a couple years ago, because you know the internet would have turned this victim girl into a meme by now.
Exactly.
Yeah. So anyway, that's it, listeners. I want to thank you if you did make it all the way through this episode. Hopefully, maybe you're already a fan of the film. If you're not a fan of the film, go check it out. It's out there. It's been out there for a very long time. So anyway, Zach, again, thank you, buddy, for doing this. And we'll see you guys right back here soon in the movie Graveyard.
Dog.
You're listening to the Electronic Media Collective Podcast Network. Yeah, it's a mouthful. For more great shows, visit electronicmediacollective.com.